Okay guys, so today I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I want to show you how you can throw away a completely winnable game by making basically every wrong decision possible. So I'm going to show you the setup of a pretty normal game state, and then I'm going to show you just a sequence of all of the wrong decisions that lead to ultimately losing the game. And I think this might be a little bit more helpful than some of the videos where I'm trying to play properly. So here the opponent is playing Mitsurugi and they start with Lamia. So this is one of the tech cards they're playing where if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a level 8 reptile monster from your deck to your hand. And obviously Habakiri is the good one because this is the one that reveals itself to special and then tribute any of their Mitsurugi monsters. So, you know, they could get Saji for the spell search, or the other one whose name I forget for the monster search. Is basically the most flexible card in the deck, and this enables that. So they search for the Habakiri there, and I droll, and don't worry, this is not going to be just pass turn into me doing something. But they've already drawn the ritual, the Mitsurugi ritual, so they're going to tribute Habakiri from hand to special summon the Murakumo from deck. And then they're going to ball drake their own Habakiri, and much to my surprise, it turns out they're playing Fiendsmith. So the Lamia and the ball drake will go into a closed heaven, which will go into Requiem, Lacrima dump Engraver. Necrocrypt first, then Engraver come out and go into the Wayfight King Caesar. Now, obviously, you know, we top deck the Imperm right here because I'm the GOAT. And in a moment, I will start showing you the problems with the sequencing here. So first, we can only play if this is negated, right? Like, we don't actually have plays if they just wave high king our stuff. So we're going to start with the Imperm. They're going to go Chainlink 2 Murakumo, so we have to discard for the Imperm to resolve. And we'll discard one of the 2 Engravers. Obviously, like, this is not like a good hand in the sense that we've drawn 2 Engravers and 2 Sylvies. But you would still discard one of the Engravers because the other one is still live in your hand. There's no reason to keep it. And there they immediately on res will Lacrima into Requiem and Requiem into Lacrima again and show that they are in fact maining the Paradise. So obviously that's not good for us because that means that we also have to play through a Desiree. Now here we Engraver first for Sanct because I am on the double Engraver, 1 Sanct and 1 Lacrima currently. And you can only Sanct if you control no face-up, so they're only light fiends. So I Sanct for the token for Requiem. He's going to use the negated Wave King, presumably just to put the Engraver material engrave. Doesn't seem that important right now. So anyhow, I bring out Lacrima, and I don't have any other dumps, because I'm only on 2 Engravers, and no Paradise. So here I Engraver, shuffle back another Engraver to bring itself out, and he chooses to Paradise here to dump the Desiree. I think maybe he's wondering if I'm going to threaten a Chaos Angel and then banish something and run over, and he's worried that he doesn't have follow-up or something. I'm not 100% sure, but anyhow, he chooses to send this Engraver. So if we take stock of the situation right now, okay, so here's where all the wrong plays are going to start coming. We've used Engraver, so this is currently not useful right now. It's useful on the crackback, but it's not useful right now. We have not used Requiem. This is actually very important, the effect to equip. So this is potentially a useful resource, also because we're playing White Forest. Sending spells or traps is very important. And we know that our next play has to be normal summon Sylvie no matter what. So we normal summon Sylvie, and here the question is, what are we supposed to search off of Sylvie in this particular game state? So here I'm going to search for Witches of the White Forest, and I think that, so this is the wrong play, but I think some people may be making this play because they think, well, I don't really have any resources. Don't I need the thing that searches anything and sticks on field, because then I can just send that right after. Like you could Witches, search for LZ, send the Witches, search for whatever you want. And there are a couple problems with this way of playing, as you'll see in a second. First of all, if you search Tails instead of Witches off the Sylvie, you could Tails for an LZ, for example. You could equip the Requiem to the Lacrima, send the Requiem to summon LZ, and LZ search Azumina LZ, and that would give you your ladder through Silvera, because you would not have discards after that. Silvera to book their field, which makes it easier to OTK, because this has 800 defense, and this has 1800 defense. Azumina LZ and Silvera into Diabel add back whatever. Azumina LZ search for Deception. Deception tribute could be the Sylvian hand or the one that comes back from grave, and you're off to your Azumina plays. So that is one possible option that you could take instead of going for Witches of the White Forest. Now here, there are a whole bunch of mistakes in sequence that happen next. So Witches of the White Forest is activated, and here I search for LZ. Now I LZ and send the Witches to special summon itself, and I search for Azumina LZ. Now, one One issue here is, again, not using the Requiem, because let's say that we had decided we were going for the Witches of the White Forest play and we did not think it was useful to go for our Azamina plays. That's still fine for clearing the board, because the LZ of the White Forest could instead search for Diabels, not LZ Azamina, forget about the ladder, and we still then equip Requiem to Lacrima, and then we send the Requiem to summon Diabels. Diabels dumps Curse, and then Curse gives us Philia, and Philia gives us Vengeance. And so now we would have like a Lacrima, a Sylvie, an LZ, a Diabels, and a Vengeance on field. Vengeance can pop something, special something else out, like a Silvera, double piercing on the Murakumo, and attack over everything, and we're just going to win the game. But if you're not thinking about your resource economy, something as small as not having an additional spell or trap can be a very big deal. So here we're forgetting, or we're pretending that we're forgetting that Requiem exists. And so here we make Silvera because there's no reason to make Arciela, which is very unfortunate because there's nothing else to send, or so we think, because we aren't even using the Requiem. Because if we had equipped the Requiem there, even if we had gone this route, we could have still searched for the Diabels, because we would have made Arciela send Requiem to search for the for whatever, for like a Tails or something. And then we could use that as fodder. We could get that back off of Diabels to still have a discard in our hand for the Diabels. But anyhow, we're doing everything wrong here. So we book the field, and we're thinking, well, I guess we could probably just run over their stuff anyhow, right? We summon Azamina LZ, and at this point, there isn't, like, without breaking the ladder, useful stuff to fuse into, because we have a Fiend and a Spellcaster in terms of our non-Diabel ladder materials. And we can't use a Fiend and a Spellcaster, because these are all illusions and then something else, like illusions and Fiend or illusions and light Spellcaster. So here we go into Diabel, and we search for an Impermanence. But now, because we're Dark Clocked and we're thinking about what are we supposed to search off of Azamina LZ, going for Deception doesn't really help us, because Deception would just get Hallowed, and then Hallowed doesn't do anything because we can't Fusion Summon. So now we put ourselves in like a hole where we're like, okay, well, I guess I could wanted search for Vengeance, because we do already control a Diabel monster, and that would make Vengeance live, right? And so now we can summon Vengeance by banishing the Imperm from our hand, which also was super inefficient, because we added back the Imperm from the grave off of Diabel, but the Vengeance can banish from hand or grave. So why would we use our add back on something we were about to banish? We should just leave that in grave and add something else back. Even if we didn't have very good options, like the Fiendsmith Sanct or whatever. At least it would be like a send for Diabel out of turn or something. So here we're trying to recover from like a series of very bad decisions. And so we Sin Adjudicator, or Vengeance rather, to pop the Wave King, and then we use the effect to summon out a monster. Now, if you read Vengeance, this card says, quick effect, you can pay half your life points, then target one card your opponent controls. Destroy it. Then, if another Diabel monster card is on the field, you can special summon one illusion or spellcaster, tuner, synchro monster from your extra deck. So here's another mistake. You're probably wondering, why didn't we summon Silvera? Because Silvera and Diabel could just double piercing and we would still win the game, even using this very wonky route. But because we went through Silvera earlier and booked the field, which didn't even have to happen at that time, we cannot special summon it off of Vengeance, because this only specials from the extra deck. It's Diabel Queen that summons from extra deck, graveyard, or banishment. So if we had just gone into Arciela the first time and not searched off of it, then, because we couldn't search anyhow, we would still have gotten the Silvera, and Silvera would still have booked the field. So, like, every part of this sequence just basically doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't have any foresight at all. And also, we have the Sylvie of the White Forest, which can bring itself out here, and we have like different options for if we want to ladder with this. We equip the Requiem onto the Lacrima, and now we go battle phase, and then we remember that actually everything to do with OTKing didn't matter because we used Sanct. So Sanct, remember, this one says if you actually use this, you cannot declare attacks for the rest of the turn except with Fiend monsters. So even if you had forgotten this still wouldn't have made sense to do it this way. You would have been trying to go for the OTK with the double piercing on Silvera or whatever, right? Let's say, that would have made sense if you forgot Sanct. Like, at least it would have been logical what you were trying to do if you're trying to make like those types of plays. But we can't even attack aside with Fiend monsters. So now we basically clear their board. We finally equip Requiem at the very end, which was a super important resource that we never got to use. And now we're like, okay, well, if we if we use our Diabell Queen and our Sylvie to go into an Execute Dragon, for example, we won't have another Diabell monster on field, and so in our opponent's turn, when we quick effect pop with the Vengeance, it won't be able to special summon anything. So we're like, well, I guess I'm just leaving this on field now. Then our opponent will go to summon out an Engraver, and here we will Diabell to bring Silvera out, sending our Requiem for cost. So our Requiem is now used finally on the following turn, not even in the same turn. There were many opportunities to use it in the previous turn. We didn't even use it in the previous turn. Bring out the Silvera, the opponent brings out the Engraver. Now the incorrect thought process here for Silveraing so early could be we don't want the Engraver to equip a Requiem, for example, and then try to send something, or go into a Requiem and then continue the Fiendsmith plays. But that's not a good reason to bring out Silvera now, because firstly, there's not even a Requiem engraved to equip to the Engraver, and if there was, you could just Diabell in response to the Requiem's equip effect, and then this would get booked and the Requiem would fall off. He doesn't even have Requiem in the grave, and if you went into Requiem and continued making the Fiendsmith plays, we would still be able to Diabell later instead of, just revealing that we're on Silvera immediately. Another thing that you will notice, or maybe you didn't notice, is a mistake here, is we have now clogged our entire field. So we chose not to make Execute Dragon with Diabell and Sylvie because that would have turned off our Vengeance summon, but we've turned off our own Vengeance summon by ourselves because there's nowhere for Vengeance to summon anything. Our EMZ is clogged and every single monster zone is clogged. So here we get back the bare minimum, which is we can add LZ back to hand because we summon a light spellcaster. He's now going to continue playing with the Engraver into Tract and Tract into Lurie, Lurie into Requiem, make the Desiree, and now here he's about to equip Desiree with Requiem, and so we are forced to finally interact with our pop. And so we pop the Desiree. The Desiree will be able to send then the Arciela in this case, because this is the one that will give us some protection against the Murakumo, so he does have to send this one. Now, with a single card in hand, oh yeah, this one was called Aramasa, I guess. With a single card left in hand, he can now just fully wipe our entire board, and we are at 2,000 life points. So we went the most inefficient way possible and allowed him to just play with cards that were already known, like all the Fiendsmith stuff. And now he can hold his gas in hand until the very end, and now, this one will add the Habakiri. The Habakiri can reveal and bring out the Saji because that didn't happen before. Now that can give you prayers. He can bring out the Murakumo. He can wipe the board here and also get access to the mirror. Here I sanced to... Was I sancting to reset itself? I can't remember. Anyhow, that doesn't matter. So now he gets prayers is for the Murakumo. And now he can just go battle phase. And there's another thing that... there's another mistake here, which is... So if you look in the grave, right? If we're trying to block attacks... there are two things we can do. We can use Sylvie effect, shuffle back whatever to bring itself out and block the Murakumo or the Habakiri. We also can Lacrima, shuffle itself back to bring out the Requiem. And so we could actually survive another turn, and if we draw any spell or trap, even if we don't draw a spell or trap, we can still probably OTK the opponent because we have Fiendsmith set up with Requiem engraved, and then two extremely strong engine cards as well. And if they choose to, for example, like Murakumo to negate the Sylvie, that's totally fine if we continue playing with the LZ or whatever, and we will have Requiem as a spell or trap send. But the problem here is, we let them go battle phase, right? So now they're attacking with the 32. Obviously, we have to block this or we die. So we activate Sylvie to summon out the Sylvie. And so now he runs over the Sylvie. And now he goes to attack with the 1200. And here, we use Lacrima to bring out the Requiem, which this is not even the attack we would block. We would be blocking the Habakiri attack. But the Requiem's effect is during the main phase only. Lacrima's effect is just a quick effect in any phase, but this one to bring back out is only during the main phase. So because we are pretending that we forgot this, we have now, not only would we be blocking the wrong attack anyhow, or actually this will be fine because if you brought back out the Lacrima, like hypothetically if this worked in battle, if you brought back out the Lacrima or whatever, it would still be 1200 and this could not run over it. But it has 0 attack, we take 1200 and now we lose. So, so yeah, I don't know if every single misplay in there was obvious to everyone, but I thought that it might be helpful for especially newer players to look at that. And then I just wanted to briefly compare that to if you just play the deck efficiently, and I'm not going to really spend too much time on this because this is uninterrupted, so this is not interesting. This is basically just like a Twitter combo. But if you actually play efficiently, you can look at the difference between the end boards that I made there and like what happens here. So if we Sylvie, for a Tails, and we already have extenders in our hand here. So we LZ dump Tails, we get AZ, Tails resets itself. We go for Arciela, we have Ascend, we search for Valor because we already had access to the Diabelle's the White Witch. So we were free to get, you know, our extra interruption. Now here, because we're not Dark Clock, because we did not go through the field spell, we can Deception for Hallowed. Hallowed brings out Murcielago, gives us the Wanted. I've covered this in other videos before, so I don't think I need to explain this again. But yeah, Wanted is chained to the Hallowed, so we can get our Ilia Sylvia, we get our Black Witch, we get our Sinful Spoils of the White Forest for, you know, potential... Actually, I'm not playing Guardian Chimera in this version, so I'm really... Sinful Spoils of the White Forest is either for Sol or just the other, you know, like niche plays where you need to bring something else out from hand or whatever to continue playing. But yeah, Necroquip, now Engraver comes out, you can make the Wave Viking Caesar. You've saved the Diabelles until the very end because now you don't lose to Nib Imperm either because you have both Ilia Sylvia and also Wave Viking Caesar. And then you can just, you know, have your entire full board here. And also, by the way, the zones are not blocked because the Vengeance, because it is special summoning from the extra deck, can special summon to the EMZ. So not leaving Wave High King in the EMZ doesn't stop you from resolving the Vengeance. And then the Deception resets itself here. So they don't really have, I don't know what deck they're playing aside from the fact that it has Bystials, but whatever they're doing doesn't matter because we're just going to negate everything, you know, like we negate the Magnamut so that we turn off the Lubellium being able to summon itself, and that puts Talents live, but then they Talents when we Ilia Sylvia it. We still have our Wave Hiking Caesar with 1 neg. They summon a card that is usually used to go into a Link 1, so we pop that and bring out the Poplar of the White Forest, and we can Vengeance Dragon whenever we want. He brings something else out. That's fine. Lubellion, and now he's about to go wide because this card says you bring itself out and something else from your deck. So if we chain to summon the Silvera, then on res we're going to book their entire field, and this guy also has 0 defense, which means the double piercing on that is going to be huge. So here, it's actually like impossible to lose no matter which way we attack. So when it comes around to my turn, you'll see, even if we've forgotten the defenses, so here is what I'm going to show you, even if we've forgotten all the defenses and we were just like, oh, this guy had 0 defense, right? Like, let's hit that with Silvera. So we go battle phase, we hit that with Silvera, we deal 7,000 damage. We forget what the defenses are on the other ones, okay? It doesn't matter. We put ourselves in an unlosable position because we sequenced correctly, and now we could, you know, lose a couple attacks, but still be able to win because we put ourselves in such a commanding position. So that's basically it for now. If you want to join the Discord, I'm very active. Feel free to @ me there, and thanks for watching.